Buongiorno and good morning to all the ladies and all the gentlemen of Tecno community. And thank Giuliano for giving us the opportunity of being here today to envision the business and kick off the second part of 2022. So welcome. Welcome to this nice place. I think that should be inspiring today for all of us and should set the pace of what we are going to do, not only now, but also in the future. For the people who don't know me, and I think that there is a big chunk of people who don't know me, I am Enrico Cavallari. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of Tecno and Zanotta as of January 2022. And I'm proud of being here. I'm excited to work for Tecno. And I'm thrilled to be in charge of a leading brand in the production of interior architecture for workplace and of office furniture. And I want to underline this one because this is where we will have the focus today of our convention. And I'm very happy to see a lot of people here today. We know that there is a design week. It's a good opportunity to meet people. And I thank you for the time you are dedicating to us and to Tecno to share your thoughts, your ideas, and to have an exchange of business principles. Back better. I think that, I want to thank the marketing team because there couldn't be a better title for our day. I think that the title is identifying our moment. It conveys a combination of realistic optimism and a sense of urgency for continuous improvement. We are back to work in our offices, and we want to work better than earlier. The COVID pandemic has changed the landscape of shared workplace, but the future is still bright. And I think that it's a great opportunity to start from these thoughts to rethink what could be the office tomorrow. In a few months, I would say in 2 years, as we all have seen, the world of work has undergone huge changes. It has become much more transversal, delocalized, and fluid. What were once niche situations, such as co-working or remote working or telecommunicating, now are established practice, and we have to face these new practices. As a result, Office 2 are required to undergo a significant upheaval. Offices cannot be anymore simply physical containers to accommodate people. Offices must become experiential places where moments for meeting, for coaching, for relaxing, and for sharing ideas become an important part of the working day. A fluid, multi-purpose space where different functions and needs simultaneously converge. We truly believe that as of now, after COVID-19, the world of work will be much more activity-based working. And again, I want to stress this statement because it's where we want to see the development of our ideas, of our products, of our solutions, of our project. Activity-based working characterized by different needs. And by the idea of having different functions and needs that simultaneously converge. Making a long story short, we truly believe that the new office is becoming much more human capital driven. And to become the best place to work and win against home working, that is our competitor now, the new office is forced to intercept the needs of employees and employers, to work more productively, to be more inspired, to collaborate more efficiently, to provide coaching and feedback simply better than before, with physical presence combined with remote presence, because this is the future of work and this is where we want to go. There is a need for more open and welcoming work experiences designed to accommodate flexible workflows and function, but which also must convey a strong identity. And this is extremely important. A corporate, an office, a professional studio cannot be a workplace without an identity. So we have the responsibility of understanding where the work is going and at the same time providing the identity for the office of the future. This is a challenge that we at Tecno chose to take up many years ago. We are used to thinking ahead, to envisioning the future scenarios so that we can offer responses while others are still asking themselves questions. And above all, we want to help people to work better. I think that this is our mission, directly or indirectly. I will go again about this principle. Working better means living better. And this is Tecno. This is Tecno. So the place is here today, the time is now. We face many exciting challenges. No excuse, chin up, impose confidence, put things in perspective, lead your organization, and most importantly, work hard and have fun because we are here today, but always for this. This is the purpose of Tecno and is the purpose of all our customers. Thank you very much. I will move on to Donatella. We will start the presentation in Italian now. Please, switch off your headphones.
Grazie molte, buongiorno. Direi di fare un applauso.
My name is Donatella Bollani. I'm very pleased to be here with you today, especially because we are at the beginning of the Design Week. I would like to share with you a few thoughts, a few things that have already been mentioned by the Tecno CEO. We talk about spaces, working spaces, the world of work. We also have changed over the last 2 years, not only companies. I would like also to stress the importance of the comma, that is working from home, comma. It is an important pause. So as far as I'm personally concerned, and for all those who need to take into account data concerning the current choices, I think that changes have to be tackled, and the first to bear in mind are our employees, our workers. So the idea is to make our working places and our homes more comfortable and a better place to live. There are companies, and I will give you the sources, that are measuring what's happening nowadays. We are talking about something in motion. We have seen that the world started changing before COVID-19. Change has speeded up. So we are moving on the fast lane, and this has been so since the beginning of the pandemic. Now we can make some considerations to understand what has happened and what we really need, what we can do. Who is changing? Well, organizations are changing, companies are changing, and they're wondering whether the spaces where they work are useful and can meet the change. Many companies asked designers what was going to happen, but not all of them. Some companies did not ask these questions, also because we had a number of rules and regulations at European level. So everybody with their own tools, every companies with their own tools wanted to understand the policy, the basic rules to be applied. Since last December, we have rules in Italy for agile working. So there are people who go to the office 2, 3, or 5 days a week, but in a different way as compared to the past. Starting from the end of 2022, we had a different legal framework that helped companies to make different choices. So a different background. So based on the data available, this shift was very hard because in the beginning we started working from home and we were at a loss. But now this working from home has become a common practice. We have found our own way to work from home. So many of us, according to the surveys I have read, many of us want to continue working from home, but in a very agile way. So the Milan Politecnico has departments that analyze data and make surveys. So the findings tell us that most of the companies, and the survey was published last year with very recent data and figures, so companies will change spaces. So there is a danger because last year there was a decrease in terms of renting spaces for offices, but companies are having bigger places. So focus was on services, more efficient services, because we couldn't reach those places where services were provided. So this is why space is becoming increasingly important, and this is the reason why working spaces must change to meet the new requirements. So office spaces are an asset. Space is an engagement tool. It's something that involves people. People feel that they belong to a brand, they belong to a company, all the more so nowadays. So when we started going back to our offices or to our working places, no matter how they are organized, we realized how important it is to be there in the right way. So office spaces are an asset vis-a-vis employees, and this according to the HR people. So office spaces are important in involving employees and co-workers, and also for positioning the brand. And it is important also to have the right place, the right space to communicate the brand, to increase brand awareness. And an office space becomes a sort of home. So the organizations are aware of that. They know that they can use their spaces to show what they do. So it is important to involve employees more effectively. teams are hybrid because some of people in teams work from home, others from the office. So people must learn sometimes, must get trained. We organize also workshops to train people in order to meet the new requirements. And then well-being and sustainability are core concepts. I don't have data with me, but according to the outlook of some real estate companies, the requests of customers focus on this point. So sustainability has become a buzzword. And sustainability means also effectiveness, but also savings and the possibility of providing a comfortable space to employees. So this is a request to meet the requirements of a working space. So we have to redesign spaces, activity-based work space. 80% of offices in Italy and elsewhere, according to the latest research, do not meet these issues. So these spaces do not meet the requirements of the new working team. This is an interesting data for those who work in the field. So we have to take steps, to take action. As I mentioned earlier, spaces are no longer associated to their function, but to their ability to support activities. Spaces can be very different, from focus rooms, from shared areas where people work in a team, where people make projects and plans. So we talk about projects very easily, but if we listen to people working in different fields, like in the field of finance, for instance, and finance is a very strong activity in Milan. So they do a lot of planning activities, new projects, new assets, new businesses. So they need spaces to support creativeness and project making. So focus rooms, different areas, small rooms where people can meet to be trained. If I go back to my office, I need to be trained in my profession so that I can grow better, I can work better. Now we can do it. So we're going back to our offices, not because we're forced to, but because we want to. And this is a shift in paradigm. So we use this concept also for hotels in many different places. And we hear people saying, I go to that place because it is quite an experience, you know. And for those who have gone back to their offices, so offices have become a destination. So we were forced in the past. We had to commute. We had a lot of negative aspects. But now the experience has changed, and we are supported by designers, by the organization. We live well, we work well in these areas. So there are 5 micro trends that we will review with the designers and project makers. So, destination. So the workplace has become a destination. I go there because I want to go there. I work well with my team. I can work from remote, and I can work in the office. Through technology, we can work anywhere. So it is a liquid concept. So this liquid concept has improved performances, quantity, but quality not always. So the issue is that those who had no experience of working in a fluid way now has understood what it means to be connected from before breakfast to after dinner. So the idea was, if I call you, you answer the phone because I know you are at home, so you have to answer. But the EU implemented specific rules to limit working hours because quantity do not always mean quality. Experimentation, prototypes, and learning. So spaces is where we can share ideas, but spaces must be monitored and controlled to understand whether what we are doing is actually useful, whether these spaces are functional for the working team who work there. So we have the Internet of Things, we have the different sensors helping us. They tell us what we do in those spaces, if we feel comfortable in those spaces. And there are also a sort of emotional issues to take into account. I do not want only to provide numerical figures. We need to understand whether we are going in the right way. And this is an issue that can be considered by companies, this sort of monitoring. Then extraordinary spaces. So we like the space where we are now. It's fresh, it's cool, it's comfortable. So many employees interviewed in a number of large organizations, Microsoft and others, when they were asked, what would you like to find when you go back to your office? We received two answers. Well, better sharing and relaxed areas, and outdoor area, a green area where I can go out, I can take a break, or I can welcome one of my customers. This is one of the issues that were highlighted. And then co-working. Co-working used to be an extraordinary issue. And it was something very special, but now it has become a common practice. Office means co-working nowadays. So experimentation, new formats, new space, fittings and settings. So well-being means inclusion. You know that. So we have been driven to this conference, to this concept by the Next Generation EU. And then there is another very important issue highlighted by Ursula von der Leyen. So designer and planning are becoming increasingly important for the well-being of workers. So being inclusive from all different aspects is crucial. So the largest organizations are working and are focusing on inclusivity. They know that when people feel well in the area where they work better, they work more effectively. So this is an issue of topical significance. So the idea is to create an inclusive culture. So spaces should reflect that. So welfare and health are becoming more and more crucial. So we have to safeguard and protect also those who work from home, not only those who work in office spaces. Even though you're working at home, you have to be safeguarded, protected, because you belong to the family, you belong to the organization. Another issue that is becoming important are the requests from employees and workers. I work from home, I have different requirements, I have different needs. So in terms of career path, training, you have to provide specific and more comfortable spaces. You have to focus on my well-being that is connected to my health, but also my psychological well-being, the way I feel when I work from home. Many organizations are changing bonuses they give to employees and workers by including parental care. So if I work from home, I need to have someone supporting me in taking care of the people from my family. So there are many new developments, and we have to be ready to face the challenges. So this was just an overview of what we have found of the most important issues that have been highlighted from our surveys. So companies who are able to listen and to respond quickly to the requirements of those who design spaces have plenty of room of maneuver and plenty of business opportunities, and they can talk to me, but I'm not a designer. So I invite Cristiana Cutrona, CEO and founder of Revalue. We have international guests, Valérie, Poli, Associate Director of Valode&Pistre, and then we have the Associate Principal, Arjav, Shah of Perkins&Will, yes, and last but not least, Stefano, Verga, design leader of COIMA. Thank you, Stefano.
So I will be standing because I feel more comfortable like that, so talking about well-being. Now, Cristiana, I'll start with you. I probably said not totally correct things, but you are part of this world, you know this environment very well, and you talk with the customers, you are in contact with them, you talk to the people who are experiencing this change. So what are they asking from you? Well, actually, the point is not so much the what. I mean, I'm reversing your question, in fact, because you have already talked about what they require. And the slide you showed have clarified that they need to have more comfort, more well-being, more safety, and well-being and safety is now a more extensive concept that is more psychological, that impacts on the personal sphere. So there are very precise requests in terms of work settings. They do not only want focus rooms, booths, and so on, but they would like to have different equipment, more technological things at their avail. So what has changed? It is their awareness level that has changed. In the past, you normally would have the HR team, the facilities team that would make choices in their place. And sometimes, or in the majority of cases, those of you who work in the field know that there is the workplace strategy part of the activity before a project starts, so you can start with the participated type of work, but you select ad hoc people to do that, and sometimes people are reluctant to give information. Today, instead, we have people who are absolutely aware. People are asking for certain things. Their approach is now different. Their mindset is different. They perceive their value in a much deeper way. They are asking for training. Before, you wouldn't ask for training. And in fact, the Great Resignation theme on the labor market proves that people want to be recognized in what they do. So they are not so interested in the remuneration versus the past, but they're much more interested in the ways in which they're accompanied in their career path or development path that has to be fast indeed, and where they need to have spaces that enable them to do these things. Maybe there's something I didn't say, but it's clear from all the research work that we have at Arjav is the following. During work interviews in recent months, we've noted a substantial difference amongst the different generations. So going back to the offices, and in the offices now we have 4 to 5 different generations. You know, the 50-year-olds and older people have a more, you know, kind of aware approach. You know, they're mediating what they do coming back to the office and to share a space. What a different, you know, in a different setting. But young people seem to really want to have this as a precondition for their work. And in fact, they give up if they don't have these possibilities. And young people who had joined a company before, just before 2019, and were at home, left alone, now, if they want to go back to the office, they, as the Z generation, say, you know, I've had no contacts with my supervisors and my colleagues. I couldn't have any development opportunity. I couldn't make any experience. So going back to the office for me means having a professional growth pathway that I wouldn't have otherwise. So this is not a trivial issue, you know. It is a topic that is very important to young people at the opening of an interview. They ask me always, is this an agile contract? Can I work from my holiday home? And, you know, when you ask them what is your idea about growing and develop yourself in a company, they say, oh, yes, of course, I want to work with my boss, with my supervisor, because, you know, that's important to them. But one has to, you know, lend a hand to these young people and help them coming back or facilitate their comeback to the office space. Now, I've been talking about macro things, you know, that encompass a lot of things. You work in these office spaces, workspaces, you design them. What is the challenge? Can you tell us? Maybe I'm wrong when I say your interlocutor is something that is maybe old and has a certain idea of an office. They ask you, for example, to develop a new space. They have a certain scenario in front of themselves, and you think instead of a different place, maybe. Is this correct, or am I wrong? Actually, the awareness that comes from the bottom, so the bottom-up approach, is also something that the rest of the people at a company are experiencing, you know. It's based on a quite banal concept. So there are sometimes commonplaces. You say, I want an activity-based office. This is something that everybody says. So, architect, what will you prepare for me? Will it be 2 booths? I don't want those kind of little trains, as they call them, and they are, by that they mean the informal booths, vis-a-vis booths. And then please do not place little sofas here and there, because people only utilize them to put away their motorbike helmet. But actually, we have to accompany the people in understanding what the new office could look like. We're all concentrating on the number of booths, the layout, and the number of desks in an office, but we should, in our turn, make a further shift. And in order to introduce this new step, I would like to go back to the moment when I had to make a decision concerning the concept for the installation of the latest salone. So I was the last curator in 2017, and the title was The Happy Meaning of Work, il senso felice del lavoro. So, you know, I made classical studies, so words for me are very important. Sense, meaning what? The sense, the meaning, the scope. why are we working? What is the definition of work that we have to associate with the scope? And we heard it should be happy because we need to feel well, but also sense, meaning senses and feelings. You know, what does hybrid mean? There's an interesting show at Prada that I invite you to go and see, because they ask questions about the events that are taking place now. We're shifting from the concept of an office where you render a service with your body. You are there and physically make your body available in three-dimensional respect, in three-dimensional terms. So it's not just a concept of work. It is a world where the 3D dimension and the physical characteristics are losing importance. But you said before that people want to come to the office, otherwise they lose an opportunity for being stimulated by their environment. And in fact, talking about senses and sense activation, and I'm putting it in simple words, should make ourselves ask the question, what is an office? It is an enabling platform, Each one of us has superpowers. We're being asked to activate our superpowers, and the company has got to give me the possibility of activating these superpowers, like Batman's, superpowers. In an healthy office, I will have, cashew nuts or other things that activate my superpowers. How do I do this? Let's go back to the concept of the body and senses. Our body as a first unaware contact with space, and space influences us. So designing an office space goes well beyond the number of booths, the number of desks, and the company identity. We have to understand first how this perfect machine, i.e. human beings, function, and how we can conceive a space that is designed in a way or another. So to draw a line is very hard. So the suggestion I can give to my clients is, please give us the freedom to do those things because we know how to do them. A layout may function or not, may work out or not. Very often I say, once you establish the metrics and the objects, the ways in which you place them in the space changes radically whether they will function in that space or not if you place them wrongly. Now, this is important because the office is a place of relationship, is a nodal place. It is a place that you have to conceive in such a way that you can stimulate creativity. The 3 C's we considered in the past were concentration, collaboration, creativity. So other spaces become important. Heterotopies that open up your mind are important. And you said it earlier, even financial companies talk about creativity. It is maybe a different form of creativity, but it has to be stimulated as well. Yes, at the Useful Body Prada exhibition, there is an enormous part of the exhibition devoted to the office. There are operating spaces and seating possibilities, and you will see the pictures of the person who have been working in that area, or something, say a coffee cup that has been forgotten over there, and it is a very much participated space because it represents the past, but in a way you feel very much that you can almost identify yourself with the person who placed there the photograph of their children or things they forgot on a desk, remembrances or opportunities to share ideas, and also the sharing of objects inhabiting those spaces. Actually, they're telling us maybe all of this is finished. It is as if you would look back from a future situation, look back 100 years. Yes, because bodies have gone somewhere else. It is disquieting, isn't it? Yes, it is correct. At the same time, we are photographing something else. We're taking a snapshot of the office as it was before. The office where I used to render my service. I get there at 8 o'clock, I go away at 6 o'clock. But the process is photographed in that way. It is the cubicle of the American movies of the 90s. 9 to 5, yes, exactly. It is me going there to work in an office space, in a cubicle. I go there in the morning and then I get out in the afternoon. Whereas today we're talking about the relationship with other people, the fact that we have understood, thanks to neurosciences, so many things we didn't know before. But in this way, we see ourselves mirrored in other people. We grow by mimesis as we are reflected in other people. So, training is important, both the training you give and the training you receive, because you listen to other people, because you see other people. It's cross-fertilization. It is the cross-team work that is also mingled with the spatial experiences. What are we not ready to give up, according to you? We're going back to work 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5 days, but we will want to go back one day. So what do you think we do not want to miss in those spaces? You mean apart from clips? When they tell me no paper, I'm not a digital native. I know I have limitations. I like paper. I need to develop my concepts and thoughts if I write on paper, on hard paper. I belong to a different geological era. And in fact, people now are able to save paper. They don't print out documents. Everything is digital, but which scares me, But it is true that the new generation, the Z generation, they do not use paper at all for any of their learning or design activities. So one has to bear this in mind. Well, there are 2 things people are not ready to give up at all. One is the locker. Yeah, it seems trivial, but you're taking away from me a desk. I only come to the office 2 to 4 times, But please, where should I place my personal belongings? So they want a locker. And many of the things that we say about the projects is, where shall I put all this stuff? Everything seems to be far away. You have to go back and forth. You don't have your own space. But enabling technologies, when you have all these booths, you want to make a call. What do? Do you take your computer with you and go there? Is this any simple for the people? You want to have an enabling technology. And as I was saying before, people ask for quality spaces. You need to have a certain quality space. It has to be nice, it has to be involving, it has to be nice looking, exciting as well. This is why this explains why it is so important to stimulate human bodies. We know how to impress a certain reaction on a body. So it means trying to get back to what we already knew in the last 200 years. Designing from a simple spoon to a CD have made us forget how the splendid machine called human being functions, and perception as well, which is embodied into us. It is body and mind at the same time. We know how to do it. We have to do it rather quickly. Thank you. Thank you. Valérie, it's your turn.
Valérie, Poli, una bella sfida.
Well, this is really a major challenge, Valérie. So the first question is the same. What do people ask? What do customers want from you as designers? I think you are going to speak English, right? Or Italian? Sì.
I would prefer to speak in French, but it's not possible. So,
Adesso si iniziano, le slide scorrono.
do we have...
Sì, hanno uno slideshow, eccolo qua.
Okay. So, as you explained previously, I'll take that off. The paradigm shift really modifies the company's priority. So, they have to develop all the possible means to attract their employees, to bring them back to the office, because in France they really are not coming back anymore, and then to keep them there. So I would say our main client now is almost the employees. Nevertheless, I would say there is two expectation for our client, which is of course the quality of life in the office, and also the environmental exemplarity, which is very strong in France. I don't know, in Italy, I'm sure too. So if I show you some picture of Saint-Gobain Tower that we delivered during the COVID period, which explain why all pictures are empty of people. I'm sorry, it's a bit sad. It has been for us a field of experimentation and innovation to find a way to propose a building that can be both a nice place to live and also an exemplary building for a sustainability, environmental point of view. It has been also a challenge for us because towers in France have a very bad reputation because most of the time they are disconnected from the roof, from the floor, sorry. They are associated with slab town planning. But nevertheless, with the team, with Saint-Gobain, with the investor generally, and the project manager Heinz, we strive to prove that this project could be the antithesis of this idea. So the first point is the quality of life in the office. What the client asks us is to have efficiency still, even more. Flexibility, because we don't know what the future will be, and of course comfort. So in this project, again the Saint-Gobain Tower, we propose a square floor plan with an out-center core that afford some different depth of spaces combined with the natural light. So it's very bright space and very light space, which employees really need. It's going much too fast for me. And on the south of the floor plan, we imagine. Here you can see it. We imagine a bow window with terraces and trees, like you can see. So we do that on each floor of the tower, which allow the employees to go out, which is quite unique in a tower. So on each floor you have this green space with natural tree, and it's really an extremely popular space of the tower, and it changed a lot the feeling of the employees inside. And at the top of the tower, so everything is going very fast, we have also a greenhouse, which offer a bioclimatic climate, with even as it is protected by glass and have a natural ventilation. It developed a kind of Mediterranean climate, where we have, again, special trees. So when you go on the top of the tower, you really feel like you are in the park, and you have a great view all over Paris and the surrounding. And again, it's a place for meeting, for sharing time with colleagues, and it's really well appreciate. So of course the offices borrow the code of also hotel and industry and housing. So to give a more home feeling. So the furniture, all of this belong also to the space. The second big, how can I say, acceptation of the client is, as I said, sustainability. So our client asks that the tower have a less consumption. So we develop projects that are, we very take care of natural light, and also we protect these with a very sophisticated facade and double size glass. So we work with Saint-Gobain, we use their innovative material. So this nothing to do with the image. This brings a very high performance of the tower and gives also all the certification for because the client now also asks for all these environmental certifications. So the BREEAM, excellent, LEED Platinum, or overstanding, even for the BREEAM. And I would add a third point, maybe, which is, you talk about it, of course, in your introduction, is this sense of belonging. So we talk about that, the workers, the office need to create an adhesion to the employees. So the building needs to create something special, needs to bring emotion more than just comfort and wellness. It needs also emotion and identity. So, for example, for the Tower of Saint-Gobain, we of course used all the historical of Saint-Gobain. So it was founded in more than 350 years ago. So we used all Saint-Gobain material, like the glass, in all scales and aspect, and also all the material that Saint-Gobain produce. So the idea is that the building, the office, also represent the firm, his product, and reflect also his value. So to bring all the employees in this dynamic and intrusive adhesion. I can say that. Yeah.
Molto belli gli spazi.
Yes, wonderful spaces. And what about the different types of spaces according to the different areas within the company? How did you work in the areas where people could share, a meeting time? And how did you work in the event spaces? How did you distribute the different spaces within the tower?
Also organize a lot of different meeting area. They could be formal or informal all over the tower and in each level. It's important to have formal spaces also. You have seen in the different pictures, there is a big auditorium of 300 persons, but also a lot of catering offer. We have lots of restaurant and cafeteria and drugstore. Those spaces are designed to be also mixed used. So after the mealtime, you can go there and share with your colleague and have an informal meeting and develop collaboration, which is really, really important. Today, in France, we love to eat like Italian, of course. And there are lots of exchange that happened during this time, and we see that the client now asks us more and more space to be able to eat in different formats. So, for example, here we have this big greenhouse that becomes after the mealtime co-working area. So they need to be connected because everywhere people need to go everywhere and do everything they want. So they need to have privacy, they need to have a phone call, and they need to be all together. We develop also with Tecno, with you. You have seen on the pictures a very nice project in Lyon, where we imagine a totally open space, but with lots of very, very small meeting rooms. So the space is totally flexible, but in the center you have those little meeting room, meaning that each collaborator can even have his own little space to have his privacy, and it's really I think the best way to imagine the work today. So it's flexible on the outside, and inside you have all the nature. It's really important to have this combination, to have this relationship with the natural environment. Everybody asks it, and in this project, so we did with you, Tecno, everything is open, and so you can also isolate. There is a lot of comfort. We developed this partition that are extremely efficient. So transparency, light, having, as you say, the vestiaire, locker, thank you, to be able to put, and also a lot of leisure to be able to sit in a very friendly way and discover the identity. And the last picture previously is also the idea that now our client asks us even not to draw offices anymore. They just want free spaces, like hybrid spaces. And now the most important part of the building is the stairs. So we get rid of the lift, we destroy the floor and create huge stairs where people can meet, like in an atrium.
E questo è stato, grazie Valérie. Poli, questo è stato un tema, questi temi sono stati...
Thank you, Valérie. These issues were also very much debated during the pandemics. Many people thought that offices would be redesigned and would also have different functions as compared to the past functions, not only concerning work per se. So the city or cities in general have changed. The idea of being increasingly connected is key. But these spaces, these areas, are less and less offices and more spaces. So in France, we have the 15-minute city as a telling example. But historically, the city, because of the way it is shaped, contains all the functions. So it is part of the urban fabric. And we have to consider all these complexities and all these differences. Thank you, Valérie, for having shown us beautiful spaces. Thank you.
Faccio una domanda similare.
Now I have a similar question for you, Shah. So what are the customers requesting from us? So what are the topics that they absolutely want to have? They would never renounce to something. What is that? You can never mediate on certain needs, something that is very important for workspaces. Thank you.
Got it. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
So I'm from the United States, New York, and I see a few people from there, so hello. Let me just start by saying that the pandemic has been the death of precedent, right? There's things that we did 10 years ago, 15 years ago don't really apply anymore, and we need to start thinking fresh and thinking different. And this is nature's way of telling us, let's do this, do it differently. I hate it when clients come up to us and say, okay, how many of these type of spaces you've done? Or what's the benchmarking on law firms, and what are law firms doing right now? Like, let's not do that, because we are learning as we go. We don't have all the answers here, and it's better if all of us understand that and we work towards something bigger in the future. So that being said, to answer your question, I think companies have realized that the people are their biggest asset. And as human beings, we crave community, connections. We crave an inclusive culture, which you were talking about. And then we crave flexibility. And a lot of this is provided to us at home. And especially now, after 2 years of working at home, we're coming back into the office. I think people are expecting the same connections and the same nodal points that you were talking about in the office. Office as a destination is spot on. Like, I don't think people are wanting to come to the office. An office which was before a 10 feet by 12 feet office is no longer the case. I think it's up to you to define what an office is. And these are the things we as designers need to learn. And companies need to adapt this to retain talent, because if they don't, then they're going to miss out on a lot of really talented people that are coming out. And in America, at least, I can't speak to what's happening in Europe. There's a huge scarcity of talent right now. And all of us, including design firms, are just trying to get and poach talent from all these different companies, but it's been impossible to do that. So flexibility is the new currency. You were talking about interviews, and everyone wants to know how flexible they can be when it's coming to work, where they work from, what is the company doing towards the culture. So these are some of the things that now our clients are coming to us and being like, how can design help us do that? But I think the biggest investment in terms of companies they should put towards is technology. A lot of the technology that at least is used in companies in America is very outdated. And it would be great to upgrade that technology platform, but also keeping in mind that you can't just say technology is to be blamed for everything, because that's not the case. I think there needs to be a balance between architecture and technology. Yes, you can spend all this money on technology, but the space has to embrace the technology, and the space and the technology has to work hand in hand. And so all of you guys who are developing product here, you need to start connecting to technology. I mean, look at the car industry. It's come such a long way. You have automobiles that, you're literally on the wheel and falling asleep, and someone's talking to you that, oh, well, maybe you should get a coffee or have a stopover. Let's see technology that does that, where if a person is going from meeting to meeting without taking breaks, maybe there's a computer telling us, okay, you need to calm down and slow down here, because health and wellness is equally important. And we need to work on that as human beings. Otherwise, it's going to kill us all, right? So these are the things I think we should be focusing on. And this is what our clients, these companies that you're talking about, are asking us for. All of this work, by the way, is before the pandemic, so it's just, because you asked for some images, but does not apply to what's happening right now. Does that answer your question?
Su che spazi state lavorando?
What are the spaces you're working on? What are the spaces in the workplace and office, the ones that you devote most attention to? And do you believe there's something new that in future years will be the real novelty of the places that are going to host us at work? Can you see any change, taking place that will imply a change in the strategy and in the ways we approach spaces?
Yes, so I can give you a project example. I'm working with a consulting client right now and we're talking about the concept of the metaverse. You brought up the Internet of Things, and metaverse is essentially a virtual way where you can socialize, you can shop, you can watch movies, everything. It's a virtual platform, right? And so the interesting question is, if everything is virtual and you can create architecture and design virtually, then what does the physical space become? Is it just a white canvas to project all of these things on? Or is it something else? And this is just a question I have, and we're trying to figure out what it is, and this client's challenging us to do things differently. So where we see spending a lot of our effort is in some of these experiential sensorial spaces. And it's not just sight, it's not just touch. We're thinking about smells, we're thinking about all these different senses, right? Like we've worked with a client where we've come up with a custom sort of air freshener almost that, like in some of their client spaces, they want that smell to relate to anyone who's coming up there to that floor. And so we have specific, quality of fragrances on different floors. It's interesting. And this might not apply to every industry, but what we are seeing is the technology, the advertising companies are a lot more progressive. The legal, the financial sectors are a little slow with some of these changes. But again, going back to the spaces we really invest in, blurring the lines between hotel and office, that's been happening even before COVID. Immersive spaces are a big thing where people don't really want just a cold-looking office. They want it to be tactile. They want it to be a lot more than just a pretty office. And so for this client, what we're doing is we have only two fixed points, the start to the space and the end to the space. Everything else is completely flexible on the floor, and it's even the renderings that we are doing to convey our concept, we're not just showing them static renderings, we're almost doing these kit of part renderings that depending on how you put the kit of parts, the rendering has a different output completely, right? So everything's about modularity, everything's about adaptability, everything's about scalability. And so really just two fixed points, and then the user gets to define what that journey is throughout the floor. So that we thought was interesting, a step in the right direction, and I'm hoping that answers your question.
Sì, diciamo che
Yes, this is a humanistic or new humanistic vision, the people, the person at the center. The examples you gave us in the most extreme cases tell us that people may decide in what spaces they want to be and they can modify it. And so some of the research work shows that young collaborators say they want to go to the office in the market and modify their workspace. So if we think of this in terms of operativeness, it is not so banal, it is not trivial. Deciding just in time, according to the people, to the moment of the day, what type of space you need. That's it. That's a new humanism. It's coming back to very ancient values. Thinking back to the pandemic with the Google Rooms, it was just the start of a remote work hypothesis, something more than simply a video call, a more immersive experience. We know it was not then developed the way we would have liked to, but it is now flanked by the metaverse, by a different, another type of environment. So the thing is that we have enormous potentials now in order to develop the work or to improve the work of those who develop spaces. So it's a very enriching experience and a challenge at the same time. I do agree. It is an enormous challenge.
I have one more thing to say. We should even think about portability. So if you have a, let's say, experience A in your office, in your physical environment right here, wouldn't it be so cool to take that home with you. And so tomorrow, if I'm working home, I can maybe open it up and have it behind me or something to give me that same experience. So you are creating a uniform experience, a very inclusive approach, so that a person in the office versus a person away from the office has the exactly same experience and also doesn't miss out on things, because the fear of missing out, we call it FOMO, is such a big thing, and we want to treat everyone equally.
Grazie.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Very interesting.
Last but not least, we have Mr. Stefano Verga, design leader of COIMA. So we will talk about the office as an asset. So, I think you will give us a lot of input. Yes, I want to thank the previous speakers, and I share what they said. But I would like also to talk about the current trends in office. In the past, we also used to talk about sustainability, new working places. But now the problem is how to put these concepts into practice. Flexibility, well-being, and technology are the key concepts. So we design offices with 1,200 people and 300 desks. So you can easily understand how many people use the office space with different activities and in different ways. So flexibility is the major challenge. Flexibility also in terms of furnishing. So we have wonderful solutions that are visible, that visibly are excellent, but sometimes are not practical. So this is why it is very important to have designers and furnishing manufacturers work together to find easy solution in terms of connections, for instance, or batteries, all the tools that are used in different spaces. So over the last few years, we have worked consistently on these aspects. So space must be an enabling space. And this is something that you cannot take for granted, because it is not easy to implement, to put in place these ideas. So Italy has become a testing ground, but much needs to be tested yet. Well-being, also well-being is a challenge for those who design. Being people-centered means to create a space where people feel comfortable, where people want to go, not are forced to go. So we have to focus on lights, on acoustic, on the ergonomics of the furniture pieces. We have to create spaces for physical activity, for meditation, for instance. So lighting or the position of lights are important when we talk about stress, for instance, or when we want people to feel happy when they work. Another important aspect is a scientific aspect. So not only sustainability in general. We need also certifications to measure sustainability. We are leader. We in Italy are leader in that. So then we have architects to deal with. Architects are not easy people to deal with. You have to mediate with them. You have to create the right team. And there are plenty of technical aspects also to consider. And it is very hard to find, for instance, all the right certification in terms of sustainability. We have targets that have been set by the EU for carbon neutrality, for instance, by 2050. And then all the different rules and regulations we have to comply with. So theoretically, it sounds easy, but it is not so when you have to translate all these concepts into practice and provide the right solutions. Another major point that I consider crucial is technology. Technology has becoming a project, is considered as a project now, no longer as a process only. So I think we have a long way to go. We are developing a lot of applications in terms of user experience of the space. So I create the user experience. So who are the stakeholders? Who are the people that will use those spaces? When I know exactly who the targets are, I can create the infrastructure. I can create a platform that provides value to the employee, because without enabling technology, you cannot work from home and you cannot work in the office. So you have to collect a number of data that are useful to companies, both in terms of maintenance and energy reduction, the way we use the space. And we have different inputs to consider. So we have the so-called professional communities, and this was a topic of the 90s, but space has become an enabler. So for professional communities. So the system or the building knows me in a positive way, so it can respond to my needs that are not only welfare, well-being needs, but also I have to know who are the people working in that space, who are their skills, so we can cross-fertilize our skills and use the time we spend in that space in the best way possible. So we are talking about the importance of co-working, for instance. Co-working was one of the main drivers to plan successful places. Now we are focusing on a central hub and different service areas around the hub, and the service areas can be shared to create communities among different companies. So hubs should be distributed over the territory. So those who focus on innovation, those who study innovation, not only from the physical or neurological viewpoint, say that innovation is really so when people working with innovation feel that they are a community, they belong to a team, they feel they are part of the space. So those who move from one place to another. This idea of moving, what does it imply? So, I think we discovered many interesting and funny aspects. When you asked people a number of questions, some of them did not know what to say, what to answer. So we had to give them some support. So giving this support was crucial. As Cristiana said, in the past, you used to focus on quantity. That is, how many people go to the office, how many people use specific tools. This was an important part, but just one part of the whole. Now it is no longer there. Now we carry out qualitative analysis. It is important to carry out this analysis outside the company, that is by outsourcing this activity, if you wanted to find the right answers. So the qualitative analysis, whereas we create focus group, we provide surveys. So all these activities give us interesting findings, not only in terms of spaces, but also in terms of organization. And sometimes we are supported by psychologists. Well, not all companies, of course, are ready to work with outside suppliers for these surveys. And we received a lot of different answers. So in the past, the findings were 30% support, 70% office. Now, it is pointless to talk about these percentages because they have changed completely. There are people who do not work at their desk in the office, but they work from home. So it is very difficult to provide a quantitative analysis now. Perhaps things will change in the next 10 years, but the qualitative analysis is part of the change. And it is helping us as designers significantly. So thank you for having shared your experiences with us. I would like to thank Cristiana Cortona, Arjav, Shah, Valérie, Poli, and Stefano Verga. So I invite you to take your seats. So please go away, go back to your seat. And I give the floor to Enrico Cavallari for a short
Okay, thanks Donatella, and thanks to everybody who has participated to the discussion, because I think that you have conducted a very insightful session, and all the speakers have provided very interesting angles and thoughts. I think that we have always to remind ourselves something that has already been said, but people are the most valuable asset an organization has. And modern office design is evolving and shifting to fit the needs of people in the post-pandemic working environments. Hybrid, flexible, diverse. But I mean, we are much more focused on people. And Stefano was mentioning audit and numbers, but there is an old rule that is quite, I think, well known, especially by Americans, that is the 330-300 rule. That states that for each square foot occupied by a corporate tenant, the corporate tenant, I mean the corporation, the company, the office, will spend $3 on utilities, $30 on rent, and $300 on payroll per year. So, I mean, we don't need to be mathematics expert But I mean, if we do a bit of calculation, we understand that if we focus on people, we can move the business. If we focus on the rest, I mean, we can move peanuts. People are the most important asset. People are the most costly asset, and if we work on productivity, we can enhance the business of corporation. Why space matters? Space matters because people matter. If people are not productive because they don't like the space where they work, then the companies lose money. And this is something that we have always to remind ourselves. I'm talking to the community of people now who are more or less directly or indirectly connected with Tecno. We have responsibilities. We can help companies to make more money because we are working on the space and we are making people happier to work. Let's talk Tecno, and now I'm referring a bit more to my colleagues and the people of Tecno. What is our role? We help our customers to envision and implement effective workplace strategies. This is how we have to position the company. This is how we have to move the brand upward. And our value added is not in moving boxes or in selling products. I mean, we will always fail if we think that we are moving boxes around and we sell a bit of stuff. We have to understand end users' needs and design. I mean, help people design workplace that stimulate creativity, collaboration, communication, while also reducing stress and anxiety, as some of the speakers have just mentioned. Extremely important, and on this point I will be very, very, let's say, demanding. We don't develop products. We provide our customers with solutions that can boost productivity, attract talents, make work an enjoyable space for employees to thrive. We are not in a business of transactions. We are in a business of relationships. We need to understand the end user's needs. We need to understand the needs of the people who work, of our customers. We need to start from those insights. Otherwise, we talk price. We move aluminum and glass. We put a bit of sofa in an office. But I mean, we don't provide a solution to our customers and to our clients. Our solutions must be contemporary, relevant for people, and benefit-oriented. Solutions that can redesign spaces to conceive an activity-based workplace. That is what we have today talked of. So we identified 4 Tecno solutions that could become a way for our people to tell a story to our customers, to cross-sell, to upsell, to provide the solutions that are made of service, product, projects. The first one is the concentration solution, the second one is processing, the third one is socializing, and the fourth is leading. And these solutions are consistent with a lot of things that today we have discussed. Let's start from concentration. Concentration is the space that enhances privacy, promotes focus, and above all, allows teams to spend quality time together and create an environment that boosts their moods. We feature our products here within this solution, that is Multi, Double Cube, T-Cube, Vela. This is a snapshot, an illustration of how could be depicted, rendered, developed a solution that is focused on concentration. And here, there are some of the benefits that our products are bringing for our customers. Now we are talking about W Cube, but we can mention Vela, Multi, Beta. These Assets altogether provides a solution that is value added for our customers because the employees can work better. The second one is processing. That is the space for discussion and cross-fertilization that offers a home's comfort together with the office experience. This is extremely important because now, after 2 years of working at home, when I come to the office, somebody was saying it, I want to be a sort of Superman. I want the technology. I want the office that works. I want to work better with my colleagues. I want space that are consistent with these needs. And here, I mean, is an illustration of how could be developed, designed, and presented a procession solution. And here we see our products, Clavis, T-Cube, W80, Linea, Pax, all together providing benefits, individual benefits for communities who work together, then break down, and then regroup and keep on working. Clavis, Modus, W80, P32, Linea, Graphis. And again, I mean, here you can see, and I don't want to read, some of the benefits that these solutions bring for our end users. Socializing, very important, is the space for creating, is a space made of collaborative areas with furniture that can be easily moved, rolled away, broken down completely in order to give employees the ability to cluster together after a team meeting to keep the brainstorming session rolling. That is one of the things that we cannot do through Teams at home. Having brainstorming session is extremely difficult when you are remote. Have you tried? It's difficult. How can you facilitate it? There are too many disconnections when you are at home. This is an important need that we have to fulfill. And here, again, an illustration of how it could be for Tecno to be presented to our customers, for their employees, for their end users. Linea, that is modular. WE, that is one of the best partition we have in our range of products and has very specific performing benefits that not so often we sell to our customers because we talk price. It's not price what we sell value. The last one, and perhaps the most important, the leading solution, that is the space for discussion, decision-making, coaching, and feedback, where C-level executives now, after the pandemic, need to be much more accessible, available, and visible. Otherwise, people say, why should I come to the office if my boss is not there? And because employees now need much more support when they work than earlier. And this is something that we have to remind ourselves. And here, Tecno has always excelled. Again, an illustration of how it could be the C-level, the leading solution, that now is much more open, is not closed. People have to see each other. There are spaces where you can collaborate and work with your employees, even if you are the CEO, even if you are at the top level of the company. And our products that are extremely focused on delivering what I'm just saying. Linea, again, Clavis, W-Cube, Vela, Beta, W80. All of these products bring some specific benefits that altogether make the solution, that provide for us an excellent opportunity to cross-sell and upsell, and to sell the solution, not the single product that moves around the production, and then we deliver, and then there is cost, and then there is the project. This is the way we can conceptualize our storytelling when we sell. Another, I mean, we are dealing in asymmetrical with the connection with technology that we were mentioning earlier, that perhaps is basic, but I want everything at my hand when I work with my desk. Then T69, that is aesthetically superior and can drive some identity within the office of the people we sell to. Again, linear, with blackboards and shelves connected easily. And again, asymmetrical, with the concealed technologies that can bring value to an office and make my life easier and fix some of the pain points that the experience, that somebody was talking of, user experience can have when they work. So what to take with you after today? And here again, I'm talking as the CEO of Tecno. Point number one, we want to move our story, our storytelling, the way we sell, the way we interact with our customers, from product to solution, to redefine industry standards and our commercial story. Point number two, our solutions must always be insightful and actively based, enriched by our new range of colors, materials and finishes that you will appreciate today here and at the Casello in our showroom. We are not bringing new products this year. We are renovating the existing range of our products. Point number three, solutions that you, and when I say you, I'm talking to agents, to dealers, to distributors, will soon quote and configure much more efficiently and effectively with our software. Tecno, what is the mission? And this is important because we have to believe what now I'm presenting. We help workplace to become the best place to work. I think that nobody can argue with this. As an industry, as a manufacturer, as a brand, we, Tecno, help workplace of our customers to become the best place to work. That means we help human capital to be better at work. Because, I mean, if they work in the best place to work, they work better. I mean, this is a consequence. That means we help people live better lives. Since we spend 10 hours, more or less, who is a bit workaholic, but I mean, let's say 8 hours to work, if we help the workplace to become the best place to work, we help human capital to be better at work, we help people live better lives. And I think that this is the mission that everybody here today should remind herself or himself when we talk to our customers. So thank you very much for being here today. Thank you for your presentation. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for your attention. I will move on to Giuliano Mosconi, our president, for the conclusion of the day. Thank you very much.
Well, it is quite hard to conclude because many things were said during this meeting. So it is quite hard to add new things. Probably only the chairman of the company can add a few things and provide guidelines for the future. I want to make a short remark. While I was listening to all of you, and I like to listen to people because we need motivations, we need to understand where the world is going, but we need also to have the right attitude. Well, first of all, we will continue to name our products with Latin names. So when we talk about people, when we talk about having a philosophy that is people-centered, then we know that we have a history and we have a sort of snotty attitude that should be kept accept. I don't know whether the language facilitates the explanation of the product, but I do think that this language, Latin, indicates what we are doing. Then another remark is the following. We are trying constantly to take into account what our past has been. We do not want to repeat, of course, the products we manufactured in the past. We have a very, very large catalog that is a source of inspiration. But there are words that we have to keep in mind and concerns our past. Osvaldo Borsani used to say something in the 60s. I do not know what the word design means because it is used for so many things and it does not talk about the quality of the project anymore. And he also used to say something else that is very clear in our mind. We, as Tecno, have not been made to work.
C'è stata sempre una propensione verso il futuro.
With things that we do already know. So sometimes we are too much forward-looking as compared to the market, but we do not want to lose this ability. When 10 years ago approximately wrote a sentence outside our company saying that our goal, our target is to redesign future on the future of work. So we are focusing on what is happening in the world of work in the marketplace. Just two memories I would like to share with you. The first table we conceived to create a shared environment was designed in 1964 in Tecno, before anyone else in the world thought that it could be possible to work not only on a desk. So this is one of the main products we manufactured. It is gratis. So the computer is a part of our life. The first computers were enormous, huge. They covered 50% of the floor surface of a desk. With Norman Foster, we thought of designing a three-floor, so to speak, desk. This was the idea in the 70s. To provide additional opportunities to streamline work with a very special and very large screen on the table. So this was a very important activity that Tecno did. And then we said that we didn't want to be influenced by technologies, that is, those small towers for electricity that architects designed on desks. So this is why we developed Beta. So my last consideration is the following. We must be flexible. We must work on products that can be changed through times, that are not linked to specific mechanisms or screws. They can be developed initially as desks, then be transformed into meeting tables, and so we can modify the different structures in an extremely flexible way, as we do with partition walls. or as we do when we divide spaces. This is why we have decided to organize meetings like this to exchange opinions concerning future spaces. So we want to be forward-looking and have a competitive edge as compared to the rest of the world. So we have squares. All villages, all cities, all small towns in Italy have a square. Different activities are organized around this square. We have talked about co-working. So inside a building there is a square, and we carry out the different functions around that square. So since the beginning, Italy has had squares. And this concept has been applied also to offices. Now, an office is basically a square with different spaces around it. So we have small units where a function or a job is carried out. So if you visit the Statale University in these next days, you will see a very special architecture called Anis. We developed it with Zadid during the pandemic. So we have tried not only to define a space, but also to provide a meaning to the space, because buildings in a square can have no personality or can have specific features, can have their own specific personalities. And these are the aspects we worked on. The last remark, as Enrico mentioned, what you have seen is real. So you can check the use of what we have done. If you haven't visited our headquarters next to this building, you can go there and see what we did with materials, with colors, with the idea of being more updated, of being a cutting-edge company. So my last message is that we made a huge effort to be people-centered, not only as Tecno, because Tecno works to develop this idea of people-centric company. We know that now people work both at home and in the office. We want the future working environments to have their own specific personality and features. Features that typify our brand. But we wanted also designers to be free to imagine people's homes more connected to the passion of dwellers. So the craziest thing we have done lately, Zanotta's home in New York, there is a part of Tecno there, and we think that our community can find the answers in the products we have created for that specific place. Then there is an ongoing transformation, an ongoing change in our spaces. They are no longer showrooms, because now we have different tools to see what a company is actually doing, but we want these spaces to become a sort of a club, a space shared by our entire Tecno community. So if people come, our people come to Milan, they can use our spaces. The same applies to Paris, and in the future when the quality of spaces in the different capital cities we have will be used as a club. So the idea Casa Nostra, our home, must have a meaning. It has a meaning in Milan, it has a meaning in Paris, because we look for goodies, for things that remind people of what our company has built. Thank you for all the things we have learned. Thank you for your input, and enjoy your stay in Milan.